Blessed, this is Peter.
And I'm Mr. Mojo.
And we are from
Morgan Heritage.
And right now you're locked into Factory 78. Blessed.
Bambulele, what's the meaning of that?
Bambulele is in Bube choral, Zulu choral hymns. It means you killed my mother. And some of the rest of the lyrics go on to translate to she didn't do anything wrong. You killed her for no reason. Now what am I to do now that I'm alone? For us, it's not about Afrobeats. It's about all the sounds that come out of Africa. And we hope that the Homeland will help to highlight more of those sounds, you know, and bring more clarity to the fact that Afrobeats is one sound from Nigeria and Ghana, right? West African sound. But you also have the Baifal out of Senegal. You also have Amapiano out of South Africa. Bongo flavor out of, you know, Tanzania. There is, you know, a style of guitars that we incorporate in the album called 7 guitars from the Congo region. So the reality is that this being a world music album, it's really a fusion of all the different Afro songs. So it's more of an Afro-fusion album than an Afrobeats meet Jamaican music. It's African music in its totality. And we have a lot more, you know, sounds that we haven't even touched on. As you know, there's over 50
there's a lot of sound in Africa.
So I went for a concert at the Shrine and I went to see Femi. We shared the stage many times, but we've never got to actually meet. So I was in Nigeria promoting the single Who They Like You with Bounty Killer, Baby Sham, and Stoneboy. And we were supposed to leave, and I did not want to go. The show was just so captivating.
Go to where? To the Shrine?
At the Shrine, yeah. It was a masterclass. Every Sunday he does like a rehearsal. Yes. He does a free concert. So it's more of a rehearsal for him, and he gave it 110%. It just spoke volumes of him being a descendant of Fela and what that energy must have been like to see Fela, because I never got to see Fela live as the godfather of Afrobeat. So when we were chilling out backstage, I got to meet his son, and I was like, you know, it'd be cool to have you as the 3rd generation of Kutis work with us, 2nd generation Morgan, 2 legacies coming together.
Yes.
And it told a story of its own. And Busy Signal was just amazing, you know, in coming in at last minute. He wasn't even supposed to be. I think Peter was talking to him. You were in Miami?
Yeah, I was in Miami. He was in Jamaica. Okay. And we ended up talking on the phone. And long story short, we got him to Miami in the space of like 2 days. I told Mojo, I called Mojo when he was in Nigeria and said he needs to come to Miami. He said, bring him, get him a ticket, blah, blah. So we did that, picked him up at the airport in Miami. We went straight from the airport, dropped off his stuff at the hotel, right to the studio. And, you know, Busy's a master at what he does. He's a professional. And he never heard the track before. Okay. And he didn't want to hear it. He said, when I get to the studio, I'll hear it. When he heard it, 30 minutes, song was done.
Well, we produced the album and we collaborated, you know, with people like D. Will from Nigeria, Kekiro from Zimbabwe, actually from Zambia, Nareel and RJ the DJ out of Tanzania, JP out of France, Kareem Burrell out of Jamaica, a youth named something Garcia, name? Travis Garcia. Jamaican as well. But the main co-producer of the album is our engineer Lou Diaz and Jusa Dementor out of Zimbabwe. Just an amazing undiscovered talent that he's working, but he hasn't had a debut this big before. So we're happy for him to be a part of this, a very instrumental part of the sounds that we capture and how we fused all these different elements together. It's
world music.
World music,
yeah, and it's we give thanks Afrobeats is making its wave around the world, but like Mojo said, we've been in and out of Africa for over 20 years. Our first time to Africa was to the Ivory Coast in
late 95.
So we're almost 30 years in and out of Africa. And our first duet with an African artist was with Youssou N'Dour in 2008. So we've been treading this trad, you know, we've done work with Diamond Platinums, Pato Rankin, Stoneboy, we've done work with for time now, tour with Even Stone. So we, after the pandemic, and being that it's our first musical project, coming out of the pandemic, and being that we lost our father last year, we've been working on this album for at least 5 years, but it really took shape last year after losing our father. And we wanted to put out a project that was memorable and a landmark project for our career. So we decided to step out of reggae and go into world music. And within world music, you have many different sounds from India, China, Japan, everywhere.
Everything.
But
People.
within world music, we chose African music because we are African.
Yes.
Were you coming with your dad, or was just?
No, we came alone with our uncle, and our mom accompanied us to the Ivory Coast. Our friend Josie Toure from New York wanted us to experience that, and he thought Africa would really appreciate what we were doing, as you know, when he saw us as a family in Brooklyn, New York. He's like, this is an African lifestyle. You guys are going to have great reception. So he brought us, and then it was really overwhelming, and they brought us back 4 months later with our dad. They wanted our dad with us and crowned him king in our village there in Ivory Coast, and it was a beautiful thing.
Okay, were you guys really based in New York or
Brooklyn.
Out of Jamaica?
Brooklyn and Jamaica. We were born in Brooklyn.
Oh, all right.
Grew up between Brooklyn and Massachusetts, got our education in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And after Gramps and I finished high school, Mojo was still doing school. We got signed to a major record label in America, MCA, we did that album. And I think right after we delivered that album, my dad decided he wanted to move back home to his homeland in Jamaica. And we said, we're going with you.
Nice.
So we moved to Jamaica, and we've been living in Jamaica since, what was it, 94?
94.
Since 94. And after about 10 years, we started going back and forth between Jamaica and the US.
How old were you guys that time when you started moving back and forth?
We were just out of high school. I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
High school.
Yeah.
Teenagers. So we came up that way, and, you know, as of now, we're based both in Jamaica and the United States. And when we're in Africa, it's either Ghana or Kenya.
Okay, we're going to get to that.
There is no real comparison. It's about the influence, right? So you can say that hip-hop was birthed out of the concept of Jamaican dancehall, which is a place that they went to hear reggae music. That gave birth to hip-hop culture in Queens, New York, via a guy named Kool Herc, who is, Jamaican. So with the evolution of Afrobeats being inspired by Afrobeats became a genre that was influenced by Jamaican music. So there's no difference from hip-hop, where, you're not going to compare hip-hop to Jamaican music, dancehall or reggae, because it's its own thing. And Afrobeats is its own thing. So just like how Fela was inspired by high life and jazz and funk, right, and soul music, and that created Afrobeat, Afrobeats now took the foundation of Afrobeat and influence of reggae, dancehall, hip-hop, and R&B. And that is the sound that you hear today called Afrobeats.
So what's your thought on Afrobeat right now, what's coming out from Africa, especially Nigeria?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's continuing to grow, and we're very happy to see the music from Africa being recognized on a global scale. And that, a music out of Africa is mainstream music around the world. So it's a great thing.
Good. Let's get back to the album. So for how long have you been working on this album?
About 4 years, like Peter said.
Ooh, 4 years.
We started like 2019, right before we released Loyalty, which is our last studio album. And then the pandemic hit, and, we just dove into the production and the sound, wanting to understand all these different sounds that we fell in love with traveling. They all had a name, right? So, the collaboration with Jussa helped to educate us on all these different sounds and the history of African music. We collaborated with over 30 artists from across 11 countries on the continent of Africa. Europe is represented by Genkoman. Jamaica is represented, of course, by the legends and future legends. We're bridging the generational gap on this. So on this album, without going into over 30 names, you have Youssou N'Dour, Alpha Blondy, alongside Madi Kuti, Otile Brown, Shatta Wale, Stonebwoy, right? 2 different generations. But they're all legendary in their own right. In Jamaica, you have Shaggy, Beanie Man, Bounty Killer, Capleton, Morgan Heritage. But then you have Busy Signal, Ayakti and Popcorn, Jashi, Ritikal. So, you know, this cultural exchange bridge is one aspect, but then the generational gap that we're bridging is another aspect, that we're bringing all these different demographics together to enjoy this body of work called the Homeland.
These artists, a lot of them are personal friends, friends of the family, so we consider them as our brothers, and the female our sisters. You know what I mean? Some artists was introduced to us along the way, like Flota Gray from South Africa was introduced to Mojo from her manager, who's a good friend of Mojo's. You know what I mean? And people like Ice Queen Cleo and Makitu from Zambia.
For how long has Morgan Heritage been going to Africa? You mentioned 1995?
That was the first
time.
But really, consistently, since 2008, 2009, we started to make regular trips on a yearly basis.
So which Africa countries do you see as home if you have to move or leave?
Right now, we have ourselves rooted in Ghana and Kenya. So we are in East and West. We love the continent. Like Senegal was one of the first places we spent a lot of time. So we can't leave out Senegal.
So I lived in Port Harcourt for around 6 months. And then recently I got to see Lagos after not visiting for about 10 years. And it's really nice. So there's a few places that we could spend significant time in, like Johannesburg is amazing. We haven't been there together in 20 years, but to see the development 20 years later is just, you know, jaw-dropping. Absolutely fabulous, and proud to see Africa, you know, resembling first world countries in Europe and you know, even the United States.
So you only work with only Made in Nigeria. So what's going on?
Also Feroz. Feroz, the young artist in Nigeria.
Okay, I've never heard of him, you know.
Yeah, now you're gonna know him now.
Okay. I'm gonna reach out to him. Nice.
When you go back to listen, you listen to Heaven.
So in this album, how do you intend to promote this album?
Talking to people like you.
You know, with the previous album, what are the energy you put into?
Well, the difference now is that we have all these different superstars from these different countries, so everybody is their own promotional vehicle. So, you know, in this digital age, a post on social media engages anywhere from 1,000 to 50,000 people. So when you have an album like this and all the artists are in close relation and we're all sharing the content on social media, it's naturally just, you know, becoming very aware. You know, people are becoming naturally aware to the existence of the album. But we're doing the normal interviews and media and advertisement and things of that nature.
Reggae music will continue to grow, man. You know what I mean? And it will evolve, and you will hear a new sound, a new twist with every oncoming generation. So, you know, reggae music will always have its place, because reggae music is a music that is global. It's loved by the world. So we give thanks for where reggae music is, where it's coming from, and where it's going. And, you know, we give strength and energy to the youth then, because they are carrying the torch and bringing reggae music to a younger demographic. Oh, the blends.
Yeah, like
I mean, we've been singing together since we were children growing up. So it's like, it's a natural thing for us, you know? Like when you're home and you're just singing a song and you start singing together. So growing up in one house, brothers and sisters, is a natural thing that we've developed over the years.
Cool. So what makes good album or great album? Last question.
A good album and great album is determined by the people. You know, as a creator, you should always try to put your best foot forward. And we believe we do that. With every album, we're getting better and better. We're honing our craft as music producer, as singers, songwriters. But I think, you know, ultimately, a body of work is determined by the waves that you can take the audience on. If it's one-dimensional and you're singing in the same key in every song and the melodies are very repetitious, you know, chances are it's not going to be critically acclaimed or as a great album. But when you can take people musically and melodically across a journey, you know, whether it's 8 to 12, in our case, 21 songs, you know, then you're starting to enter the realm of greatness.
Morgan, how can people reach out to you, social media and all that?
At Morgan Heritage, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Morgan Heritage Official on TikTok. Get ready for the Boom Boom Challenge with Shatta Wale, Jose Chameleon, RJ the DJ, you know, on the new single Ready. It's going to be crazy. Plus size ladies only. We're empowering the ladies to express themselves like all these video vixens. That is the stereotype of women that you see in, the entertainment space. So this is all about empowering our...
Last question. How many videos you guys going to drop on this album? How many videos should be expected?
At least 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.